many, many hours of investigation, going to the Philippines, going to Chicago, going all over the country. There's not one scrap of evidence that Michael Jackson ever harmed a child, did anything wrong, committed any crime. It's almost a vindication when you look at this. The FBI looked at all of these matters and said, there's nothing here. And I think that's the most startling thing which I've seen.
What if the truth about Michael Jackson had been locked away for years, hidden within classified government files? The King of Pop wasn't just the most famous entertainer in the world. He was also one of the most investigated. The FBI kept a secret stash of documents on him for nearly 2 decades, covering everything from death threats to shocking allegations. But when these files were finally made public, what they revealed left everyone stunned. Were the investigations proof of something sinister, or did they expose how Michael Jackson was unfairly targeted? Let's dive into the real FBI files on Michael Jackson and uncover what they truly say. The FBI's first investigation, a dangerous obsession. Long before Michael Jackson became the center of major criminal investigations, the FBI was called in for a different reason. His life was in danger. In 1992, a man named Frank Paul Jones became obsessed with Janet Jackson. When she ignored him, his fixation turned violent, and he began threatening both Michael and President George H.W. Bush. Jones sent disturbing letters, claiming he would kill Michael if Janet didn't marry him. The threats were so serious that the Secret Service got involved, and the FBI launched an investigation. Authorities tracked down Jones, who was arrested and sentenced to 2 years in prison. At the time, this seemed like an isolated incident, one of many security threats Michael faced as a global icon. But the FBI's involvement in his life was far from over. Just a year later, their focus would shift from protecting him to investigating him. As allegations against Michael Jackson surfaced in 1993, the FBI played a crucial role in gathering evidence. What they found, or didn't find, would shape his reputation for decades to come. But what exactly did the FBI uncover? The truth is more shocking than many realize. The 1993 allegations. 1993 was a turning point in Michael Jackson's life. A 13-year-old boy named Jordan Chandler, encouraged by his father, Evan Chandler, accused Jackson of child molestation. The media erupted with shocking headlines, and law enforcement launched a full-scale investigation. The FBI, working alongside the LAPD and the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office, was called in to assist. Jackson had befriended Jordan and his family in 1992, but their relationship took a dark turn when Evan, a struggling dentist and screenwriter, began demanding money from Jackson. When Jackson refused, Evan took the allegations public. The authorities acted swiftly, gathering evidence and conducting interviews. The FBI was tasked with analyzing Jackson's past to see if any patterns emerged. They even reached out to law enforcement agencies in other countries, looking for any prior accusations. One of the most invasive parts of the investigation was the infamous strip search. Jordan claimed he could describe unique markings on Jackson's body, specifically on his private areas. In December 1993, police forced Jackson to submit to a full-body examination at his Neverland Ranch. The experience was devastating. Jackson later described it as one of the most humiliating moments of his life. Police took photos of his body, trying to match them to Jordan's descriptions. The results, however, were inconclusive. Jordan had claimed Jackson was circumcised, but medical reports and later autopsy results confirmed he was not. This major discrepancy cast serious doubt on the accuracy of Jordan's allegations. Despite months of investigation, the FBI and police found no solid evidence against Jackson. No child pornography, no prior allegations that held weight, nothing to suggest wrongdoing. However, Jackson's legal team advised him to settle the civil case rather than drag out a brutal trial in the public eye. In early 1994, he paid a reported $23 million settlement to Jordan's family, though he never admitted guilt. Critics saw this as an admission of wrongdoing, but legal experts pointed out that the settlement only applied to the civil lawsuit. Jordan could have still testified in a criminal case if the prosecution had moved forward. However, with no cooperation from the accuser, the case fell apart. Though Jackson was never charged, the damage was done. His public image took a massive hit, and the media never let the story die. The FBI kept his files open, monitoring him for years. What they found or didn't find would later come to light in 2009, when his secret FBI records were finally unsealed. The FBI never found a single piece of incriminating evidence against Michael Jackson, but a decade later, the accusations would return, and this time, the trial would go to court. The 2003 allegations. Just when Michael Jackson thought the worst was behind him, another set of allegations surfaced in 2003, this time leading to his most publicized legal battle. It all began when British journalist Martin Bashir released the controversial documentary Living with Michael Jackson. In the film, Jackson was seen holding hands with a young boy, Gavin Arvizo, and making comments about sharing his bed with children in a non-sexual, caring way. The media pounced on this, reigniting old suspicions. What followed was a nightmare. In November 2003, Jackson's Neverland Ranch was raided by over 70 officers from the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department. This time, the FBI was officially involved, not just assisting, but directly investigating Jackson. The authorities were determined to build a strong case, but just like in 1993, things didn't go as planned. The FBI analyzed seized computers, hard drives, and over 16 years of Michael's personal records. They reviewed tapes, emails, and even old allegations from other countries. However, their search turned up no evidence of criminal behavior. Despite this, the prosecution pressed forward, and in 2005, Michael Jackson was put on trial for multiple charges, including child molestation and conspiracy to commit abduction. The case rested heavily on the testimony of Gavin Arvizo and his family, but cracks quickly appeared in their story. The Arvizo family had a history of suing celebrities and had been caught lying under oath in previous cases. The defense exposed the inconsistencies, pointing out that Gavin initially denied any abuse. Even under FBI scrutiny, there was no physical evidence, no credible witnesses, and no pattern of misconduct. Michael Jackson's 2005 trial was one of the most watched court cases in history. The prosecution painted him as a manipulative predator, while the defense showed how the accusations were built on lies. The jury deliberated for 7 days before delivering their verdict, not guilty on all counts. After the verdict, FBI records revealed that there was no proof of any wrongdoing, despite years of investigations and countless resources spent trying to convict Jackson. But even though Jackson had been legally cleared, the damage to his reputation was irreversible, and this wouldn't be the last time his name was dragged through the mud. The FBI Files Unsealed. For years, the world speculated about what the FBI really knew about Michael Jackson. Had they uncovered something sinister, or had he been the victim of a media-fueled witch hunt? In December 2009, 6 months after Jackson's tragic passing, the FBI finally declassified over 600 pages of its case files on him. The truth inside those documents was shocking, but not in the way many expected. The FBI had monitored Jackson for nearly 20 years, from death threats to criminal allegations, but despite all their investigations, they never found a single piece of incriminating evidence. The files revealed, in 1993, agents assisted California law enforcement, but found no proof to support the allegations against him. In 2003, they examined 16 years of Jackson's life, including his international travel history, to look for a pattern of misconduct. They found nothing. The search of Neverland Ranch turned up no illegal materials, a fact that was often ignored by the media. Undercover operations were conducted to see if anyone could corroborate past claims, yet no credible evidence was ever presented. Beyond the allegations, the files also showed that Jackson had been the target of multiple death threats over the years. The FBI had investigated several cases involving stalkers, including one individual who threatened to assassinate him and President George H.W. Bush. One particularly disturbing case involved a man who repeatedly sent threats saying he would kill Michael Jackson if he didn't respond to his letters. The FBI took these threats seriously, but Jackson was never fully aware of the extent of their investigations into his safety. So if the FBI found no wrongdoing, why were these files kept secret for so long? The answer likely lies in the media circus that surrounded Jackson. His name was a magnet for controversy, and anything involving him would make headlines, whether it was true or not. The mere existence of an FBI file was enough for some people to assume guilt, even though the content of those files told a completely different story. For Michael Jackson, these investigations were more than just legal battles. They were a war on his legacy. The real tragedy? Even after 2 decades of FBI surveillance, 2 major investigations, and a full criminal trial, the accusations never stopped. But even in death, the controversy wasn't over. The allegations resurface. Even after Michael Jackson was fully acquitted in 2005 and the FBI files revealed no incriminating evidence, the accusations against him didn't disappear. In fact, they resurfaced in 2019 with the release of the controversial documentary Leaving Neverland. The film featured Wade Robson and James Safechuck, two men who had previously defended Jackson under oath, now claiming they had been abused as children. Their allegations sparked a new wave of media scrutiny, reigniting the debate over Jackson's innocence, despite their lawsuits having already been dismissed in court multiple times. Unlike the FBI's thorough investigations, Leaving Neverland was a one-sided documentary. Jackson's estate and many fans quickly pointed out major inconsistencies in the accuser's stories. Safechuck claimed he was abused in a train station at Neverland in the late 1980s. The problem? That train station wasn't built until 1994, years after Safechuck's alleged timeline. Robson had praised Jackson for years, even after his death, and attempted to work on Jackson-related projects. Only after being rejected for a Cirque du Soleil tribute show did he suddenly change his story. Both men had previously testified in court, defending Jackson under oath. Despite these glaring issues, mainstream media rarely questioned their claims, and Jackson's reputation took yet another hit. After the documentary aired, Jackson's estate fought back. They sued HBO for violating a 1992 contract that prevented the network from disparaging Jackson. In 2021, a judge ruled that the case could proceed to arbitration, potentially forcing HBO to face legal consequences for airing what many called a slanderous documentary. Meanwhile, Robson and Safechuck's lawsuits against Jackson's estate continued to get dismissed. In 2023, a judge ruled in favor of the estate again, stating that their claims had no legal standing. Despite years of controversy, Michael Jackson's legacy remains stronger than ever. His music continues to break records, his influence spans generations, and his supporters remain fiercely loyal. The FBI files, the court rulings, and the lack of credible evidence all suggest that Jackson was unfairly targeted for decades. Yet the question remains, was Michael Jackson the victim of the biggest smear campaign in entertainment history? One thing is clear, the truth is in the FBI files, and they say he was innocent. But is the world finally ready to accept it? The final verdict. Michael Jackson spent decades under the harshest scrutiny imaginable. From death threats to false allegations, from FBI investigations to courtroom battles, his life was dissected more than almost any other celebrity in history. Yet, after two major investigations, a full criminal trial, and nearly 20 years of FBI surveillance, the truth is clear. Michael Jackson was never found guilty of any crime. The FBI files, once thought to contain shocking secrets, ended up proving that there was no evidence of wrongdoing. Despite this, the media never let the accusations rest. Sensational headlines overshadowed the facts, and many people still believe the false narratives pushed for decades. But for those who have taken the time to read the actual FBI files, the conclusion is undeniable. Michael Jackson was hunted, investigated, and put on trial, yet never convicted because the evidence simply didn't exist. So now we leave you with this question. If the FBI, with all its resources, couldn't find any proof against Michael Jackson, then why is he still being judged? Maybe it's time for the world to finally let the truth speak for itself. If you found this deep dive into Michael Jackson's FBI files eye-opening, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth stories. What do you think about the FBI's findings? Let us know in the comments below.